Record heat in the west, desperate for water in the southeast. Millions struggle in the mean season. In depth tonight, more wildfires than ever and not enough firefighters. Crisis on the front lines. Decision 2000. Like father, like son. George W.'s secret weapon. What it's like behind the scenes when your father's been there, done that. And those amazing eyes in the sky. What it means now that all of us can see what used to be top secret.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It promises to be a long, hot, and dangerous summer in the American West, and we're getting an unsettling preview this week in the heavily forested areas around Denver. They are in flames, wildfires that are out of control. More now from NBC's Roger O'Neill.
It's a forest firefighter's worst nightmare. Wind, heat, and low humidity. A so-called red flag warning. It was forecast, and it came today. Big firestorms erupted both Colorado Front Range forest fires. But these pictures of fire cresting a hillside, more spectacular than destructive. Fire managers say these flames moved onto national forest land, away from an estimated 3,000 homes that dot the tinder-dry hillsides here.
But at this point, there is no evidence that we have any residences or dwellings in the way that may be lost here as a result of what's going on behind me.
The aerial assault on the fire all but stopped today because of extreme winds. A few helicopters dropped water on the flames, but big air tankers with fire-retardant slurry were grounded. By early afternoon, winds were blowing steady at 30 miles an hour with gusts of 50. Ground crews were restricted too. Erratic winds in the mountain valleys made it too dangerous to fight the fire head on.
In a situation like this with the variable winds, the concern is what if it decides to blow some other way than forecast? That's a difficult thing to predict, and so we just really have to be ready for anything.
The two Colorado fires have blanketed Denver in smoke at times this week. The so-called Bobcat fire, 60 miles northwest of the city, and the High Meadow blaze, 25 miles southwest. Both are in the foothills of the mountains, but a lot of homes have been built on the rugged hillsides. Tony Weiser moved his family into the mountains from Chicago 5 years ago. Today he was packing up, ready to leave if one more hillside burns.
Hopefully, Lord willing, we'll still be able to save our property, but for right now, it's best for us to get out.
For the 1,000-plus residents who have already been evacuated, for some, it's living on cots in a high school gymnasium now. A message board becomes a link to the outside world, offers of help, a room to sleep in, a place to board animals. With fire already on two fronts of Denver, when a small third blaze broke out even closer to the city this afternoon, it was attacked with full force and contained. But containment is nowhere close to the two big fires, which continue to burn out of control tonight. But by tomorrow night, maybe a different story. The weather forecast for tomorrow, cooler temperatures, higher humidity, no winds, and maybe, just maybe, some rain. Maybe then firefighters will get around this fire, stop its forward advance, and maybe then they'll begin to think about tearing down their tents where they're sleeping now in fields and get into some real beds, unless there's another fire somewhere else. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's Roger O'Neill tonight. And from that unhappy picture of the American West to the bone-dry conditions of the Southeast. It's shaping up as a major drought, and the consequences are far-reaching. For that story, we go to NBC's Frederica Whitfield.
For the third year in a row, struggling to cope with bone-dry conditions. In Lilly, Georgia, today 102 degrees. Just a month ago, these three brothers who have farmed all of their lives worried about their peanut and cotton crops, but were optimistic.
It's already been 2 months without a rain. If it goes another month, it's just a loss.
But with only a half an inch of rain since then, today they face their greatest fear.
We're fifth-generation farmers, and I'd hate for it to end with us.
Farms wilting fast across 6 southeastern states where the drought outlook is most bleak.
It's too late. I mean, even if we get a lot of rain, they're not going to be able to recover till next year.
Crops and livestock in trouble. In Madison County, Florida, pastures are so dry and dusty, Richard Cohn says his 300 head of cattle would starve if he didn't truck in bales of hay.
You can see their ribs showing, their backbone showing. They should be butterball fat right now.
And the only source of water here, a pond, nearly empty.
In the southeast, it may be even as severe in some places as 1 in a 100-year event.
Desert-like conditions being blamed for causing other problems too, sparking nearly 4,000 wildfires in central Florida, causing a massive sinkhole in Albany, Georgia's Cypress Pond. 20 million gallons of water gone, threatening the lives of bald eagles roosting here, unless builders can finish this emergency dam. And in big cities like Atlanta, the driest May in a century, frying one of its most prized possessions, typically green and costly landscapes, now in grave danger because of statewide water restrictions.
You just don't expect not having water.
Watering lawns allowed only every other morning so that more families can rely on water out of their faucets instead of bottles. Forecasters say what the Southeast needs right now, downpours from a tropical storm. But with none on the horizon, the prediction here is more of the same, hot, dry weather. Frederica Whitfield, NBC News, Atlanta.
We haven't heard about him in a while, but now the ongoing saga of the young Cuban refugee, Elian Gonzalez, the latest legal maneuvers by his Miami relatives to keep him in this country. NBC's Pete Williams tonight on their 11th hour plea.
Facing a deadline tonight, the Miami relatives send their lawyers back to court, claiming to have new legal arguments that could turn the case around. They asked the entire Federal Court of Appeals, all 12 judges, to reverse the decision issued 2 weeks ago by 3 judges from that court. That panel ruled that the government was within its rights when it found that Elian was too young to apply for asylum. Now, lawyers for the relatives claim a recent U.S. Supreme Court decision in an unrelated case expands the power of courts to overturn decisions by federal agencies.
With this new Supreme Court decision, we think it's important to give the entire 11th Circuit the opportunity to consider its very, very serious ramifications.
But an expert on federal appeals court says the Supreme Court case doesn't actually make new law and won't help the relatives because federal courts are reluctant to interfere with government decisions about controlling the borders.
When you deal with immigration and foreign affairs, then the courts really are more inclined to listen to what the executive branch has to say and back off.
In response to today's filing, the appeals court gives Elian's father and the Justice Department until next Tuesday to respond, keeping the case on the fast track. For today's appeal, the lawyers for the Miami relatives, with the legal odds against them, add a new member to their legal team, Washington lawyer Brett Kavanaugh, a former clerk to Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy, and a former prosecutor on the staff of independent counsel Kenneth Starr. And what about that court order that bans Elian from leaving the country? That's still in effect until the case is decided. And today, the Attorney General hopes that will come soon.
I would hope that the matter could be considered and ruled upon promptly and that we can go forward.
But with Elian nearing his 7th month in the U.S., now staying at a house in a Washington, D.C. neighborhood, it looks like he'll be here at least a few weeks more. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
Still ahead tonight, Decision 2000, all in the family for former President Bush, advisor and morale booster for his son who wants to follow in his footsteps.
I'd be driving home after these debates and the phone would ring and he'd say, "Gosh, I'm so proud of you."
Like father, like son, the critical insider role that George Bush is playing in his son's bid for the White House. NBC News in depth tonight. A dangerous shortage of firefighters on the front lines as the fire season heats up.
If someone in your family's had a heart attack, you know it can tear your family apart. But there's something you can do to help prevent heart attacks. There's Ecotrin. Ecotrin is safety-coated aspirin. Taken regularly, it can help keep your blood from clotting, to keep it flowing. No wonder cardiologists now recommend Ecotrin more than any other brand. Aspirin is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor first. Ecotrin, helping your heart beat the odds.
Nothing like food and water stolen from a precious little azalea.
Thanks for the meal, Red.
Some life we got here, eh?
Yeah, remember the time they sprayed us?
A waste of time.
Didn't touch our roots, we grew back
better than ever. Ain't nobody gonna spray us now with all these delicate flowers around.
Right, Red?
Say, what's that?
Roundup kills tough weeds, even near flowers. Roundup. No root, no weed, no problem.
Do you need this much space to feel comfortable? Do you need to feel the breeze on your face? Is taking a nap really the best use of your time? Introducing the all-new redesigned Avalon, the most spacious, most luxurious sedan we've ever created. Do you need this much space to feel comfortable?
Your dream home. It's all yours. What a nightmare.
Honey, how did you wake up? The appraiser, remember?
With HUD's FHA Homebuyer Protection Plan, you get the right loan, a fair price, and a thorough appraisal. If any problems are found, you'll know about them before you close. 30 million Americans have trusted us to build their dreams. Call for information on HUD Homes and FHA loans. HUD and FHA are on your side.
Tomorrow, the fleecing of America. A sweet deal. Sugar producers get rich at taxpayers' expense. That's what a government agency reports. NBC Nightly News tomorrow.
Dateline Friday. David was the best in the world. Then doctors told him he'd never race again. But could sheer determination and courage help him regain his childhood dream? Dateline Friday.
NBC News in depth tonight on the front lines of the worst fire season in years and a shortage of men and women battling those blazes. Across the country, there are more than 730 million acres of forest land, 33% of the total land area of the United States. But this year, when much of that land is tinder dry, will there be enough firefighters to bring those fires under control to protect all the homes and businesses in harm's way? NBC Jim Avila tonight reporting in depth.
Firefighting 101 today on National Forest Land outside Helena, Montana. America's next generation of hotshot firefighters. Yep. Lighting controlled burns to prevent and stop wildfires and learning the hand-to-hand combat used on the fire line. Lessons for 16 Forest Service trainees expecting face-to-face work with backcountry flames by the end of fire season this summer at $10.50 an hour.
It'll be hot. It'll be probably pretty miserable at times.
Today, there are 10,400 full-time firefighters on the ground assigned to suppress wildfires. But experts say they're not enough. The 2000 fire season exposing what the Forest Service calls a critical shortage of trained firefighters. New personnel badly needed in the worst wildfire season since 1996. Already more than 1,200,000 acres burned in 45,000 fires. Figures not reached in a normal year until September.
It's a very demanding job. We've got a lot of dual career families now. There's a lot of single parents. It's a lot more difficult to suddenly pick up, rush out, and be fighting fires from 14 to 21 days before you get to go back home.
Across the country, shortages in fire dispatchers and aviation crews. Today, Colorado firefighters putting out an urgent call.
Appears that they're going to be looking for some dispatcher types.
The Forest Service having trouble attracting qualified candidates for work that used to be considered a glamour job.
Like other businesses, we're in competition for employment opportunities. You know, the state of the economy provides some incentives for folks to look otherwise.
The average age of today's Forest Service firefighter is 45 years old. Because it's physical, demanding work, mandatory retirement is 55. That means today's critical shortage will only get worse. Montana's state forester, Don Artley, says the first crisis could come as early as this year, finding late summer relief for tired crews in an extra early and busy fire season.
I'm a little worried that we're going to wear people out early.
The shortage already causing problems, according to the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. Fires jumping out of control twice as often as in the past. Pre-1994, the fire center says it lost control of 1 to 2% of all wildfires. Today, that's jumped to 3 to 4%. Running today's training session, Dave Larson. He says new recruits are needed because of Forest Service cutbacks. Office workers no longer able to be put in service during crises.
A number of years ago, if we would have to have a big fire, we could mobilize what we called the militia. Those people are gone.
A dangerous shortage and a dangerous time. Too many fires and too few men and women on the fire line. Jim Avila, NBC News, Helena, Montana.
Then there is this note from that massive wildfire near the Los Alamos nuclear lab in New Mexico. Almost 100 firefighters have decided not to get involved in the cleanup work because now that the fire is out, because they're afraid of contamination. Lab officials are insisting that no toxic substances were released during the fire. However, they are offering to equip each firefighter with radiation monitors. When we come back, a big shakeup in one of the presidential campaigns and satellite photos, not just for the spies anymore. What it means now that what used to be top secret is available to everyone.
I'm hungry. What, $1 for a sliver of raw fish?
It's sushi.
Sushi? Where I'm from, we call that stuff bait.
What else can you get for just $1?
Well, I can get a 20-minute phone call for only 99 cents.
Quit kidding around.
No, it's true. Dial 10-10-220. It's just 99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes. And just 7 cents a minute after that. And get this, there's no monthly fee.
10-10-220 really is a great deal.
We know. Hey, you forgot to cook this.
Dial 10-10-220.
Uniroyal tires with nail guard seal most tread punctures instantly, permanently, and repeatedly. Nail guard tires, only from Uniroyal.
Ordinary cat? Feed him ordinary cat food. Real tiger? Feed him the real meat and Friskies. It's the nutrition your cat naturally hungers for. Everything he needs to be his best. Friskies.
Who's asking about Viagra? Someone you might expect, and also someone that maybe you wouldn't. In fact, you may be surprised at who's talking to their doctors about Viagra. So ask your doctor if a free trial of Viagra is right for you. Who's asking about Viagra? Maybe it should be you.
Only one can be the best.
To treat athlete's foot, it's Lamisil AT with full prescription strength. These take 4 weeks of treatment. Lamisil AT cures it with just one. 3 months later, you're still athlete's foot free. Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot.
The forces of nature are waging a war, and the target is your deck. But Thompson's will stop them, because when others fail, Thompson succeeds, protecting your deck like no other, guaranteed. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
Get up, get down. Hang tight, hang loose. Out back in the sun.
You know that little voice in your head makes you feel guilty for having too much of a good thing? Yeah, we don't either.
Outback Steakhouse, no rules, just fine.
Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
With your help, Save the Music Today has had a great week. We'll wrap up tomorrow with the Piano Man and the President. Maybe he'll donate that old saxophone tomorrow on Today.
Isaac Hayes, live Saturday on Today.
Can you dig it?
Federal drug agents today broke up a major heroin smuggling ring, arresting 200 people who allegedly brought very pure, very cheap black tar heroin into the U.S. from Mexico. According to the DEA, the group was distributing $7 million worth of heroin a month in 22 American cities from coast to coast. In presidential politics tonight, a big change at the top for the Gore campaign. The chairman, Tony Coelho, stepping down for health reasons. He's been struggling with epileptic seizures and an inflamed colon. His doctors advised him to leave the campaign because of the high cost of stress. His replacement, Commerce Secretary William Daley of the legendary Chicago political dynasty. George Bush was back on the campaign trail today after a 5-day summit meeting of sorts with one of his most important advisors, his father. NBC's Claire Shipman has more on the former president's low-key efforts to help make his son the next president.
A rare joint appearance for father and son in Kennebunkport this week. The former president eager to play down his role in the campaign and upcoming convention.
I will have a very inactive role.
But behind the scenes, a father thoroughly involved in his son's race, according to friends and aides, poring over polls, talking with staff and son regularly. George W. says it's mostly moral support.
I'd be driving home after these debates and the phone would ring, and he'd say, "Gosh, I'm so proud of you.
But senior advisors make regular contact with the elder Bush, often using him as a sounding board. He doesn't push advice, they say, but staffers often find low-key suggestions like this one, an email about granting a radio interview, in their inboxes.
I think of my own dad when I see one of the emails from him, because he's passing along a pat on the back or a hang in there, keep going.
But it can be more substantive. Condoleezza Rice, foreign policy advisor to both Bushes, says the father's continued international travel and meetings with world leaders helped the campaign.
He'll sometimes send me a little email note and relay both their good wishes for the governor, but also any policy advice that he might have.
Bush remembers talking to his dad after a recent meeting with the Russian foreign minister.
And it was interesting to compare notes about the difference of attitude between the Russian foreign minister then and now.
But the son downplays any suggestion that the father is directing the campaign. Still undecided at this point what role the former president will play at the convention and beyond. It's a fine line. Advisors do want to take advantage of the senior Bush's popularity without making Junior look too junior. The peril evident in New Hampshire.
And this son of ours is not going to let you down. He's going to...
Calling him a boy proved embarrassing. The former president was devastated.
Evidently, it upset Dad a little bit because he doesn't want to do anything that would affect his son's chances for the presidency.
I'm obsessed as a dad who loves his son. And I would do anything to help him win. It's not that I want a legend or a legacy or a first or a second in American history. It's because I have this love and affection for George.
Once before in U.S. history has a president's son, John Quincy Adams, been elected to his father's job. This dad is determined to make it twice. Claire Shipman, NBC News, Portland, Maine.
Forbes magazine tonight is out with its world's richest list again. And despite Microsoft's antitrust problems and a big dip in its stock price, Chairman Bill Gates still is at the top of the Forbes list with a net worth of $60 billion. That's down a third from last year. Another high-tech mogul, Larry Ellison of Oracle Corporation, is getting closer. He's number 2 now with a net worth estimated at $47 billion. On Wall Street today, an up day led by some gains for technology stocks. As a result, the Dow finished up almost 27 points. NASDAQ was up more than 48 points. I'll be right back with what's even better than a bird's eye view of pretty much anything that you want to see.
Was a coach at Georgia School for the Deaf. I grew up in an environment where deaf kids kind of adopted me in their culture.
Thank all of you for coming to the camp today.
When I first went to Merrill Lynch, I was very impressed with Steve Malone. He was very easy to talk to, and he listened well.
So it's important for all of us to listen well and to cooperate. Every day you're building your future.
How visionary. A bifocal contact lens that allows you to see both near and far. Sharp as ever. Ask your eye care professional about AccuView Bifocal. AccuView, advancing the science of sight.
These acid-reducing pills are great. They don't just relieve heartburn. They keep it from coming back for hours. How are you going to improve that? Watch. For the first time, lasting relief in a soothing liquid. New Tagamet liquid. Fact is, you'd have to come back to the Mylanta bottle and back 4 times to get the lasting power of 1 dose of Tagamet liquid. Lasting power in a soothing liquid. Tagamet.
While paramedic Dave McLeod checked the equipment before the day's first call, someone else was on Realtor.com helping Dave's family search for their first home. Later, as he was racing to his 6th call, someone else was at the bank reviewing Dave's mortgage. And while Dave was helping deliver a healthy set of twins who couldn't wait for the hospital, someone else was delivering his cashier's check to the title company. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're Realtors. Real estate is our life.
Uniroyal tires with nail guard seal most tread punctures. Instantly. Permanently. And repeatedly. Nail guard tires. Only from Uniroyal.
I'm here to demonstrate how Whiskas' new savory nuggets with crispy outsides and soft centers compare to the typical dry cat food. Observe the difference at impact. Now ours. Trying this again.
These cats are totally ruining the experiment.
New Whiskas with savory nuggets. What cats want.
Just ahead at 6, will today's scattered rain be enough to relieve our dry conditions? We'll see if it's too little too late. And more shark attacks on Gulf Coast beaches. Will this keep people out of the water? And state lawmakers may have found a way to tax you anyway. Stay with us. The Scene at 6 is just minutes away.
There's a lot of understandable concern these days about privacy, what with the internet, computer hackers, and reams of data on every credit card and bank account file. Well, here's something you may not have thought about. Those high-resolution satellites overhead. And this is about something much larger than just your credit card number. NBC's Bob Faw tonight on the big picture and the extreme close-ups.
Once, satellite photos like this one, a reactor producing materials for nuclear weapons in Pakistan, were the top-secret property of government intelligence agencies. Now, appearing on a website near you is not just material once classified like this North Korean missile site, but just about any city you wish. Fort Worth after a tornado, Los Alamos after the recent fires. Also available, favorite tourist attractions like the pyramids. Shot from 423 miles overhead, the images are so clear, you can even read the signs. John Pike, who runs a public policy think tank, has been taking photographs shot from commercial satellites, this one an ammunition depot in central Pakistan, and distributing them on the internet. Finally, he says, citizens will get to see just what their government has been seeing.
The clear pattern is that the government knows a lot more about the nuclear and missile programs of countries around the world than they've been telling the public about. In some cases, those programs look a little smaller than the government says. In other cases, they look a lot larger.
He says private satellite photos suggest the government has exaggerated the threat from North Korea, underestimated programs in India and Pakistan. His conclusions have the cloak and dagger set spinning.
John Pike has certainly stirred up a hornet's nest by releasing a lot of imagery that intelligence agencies are used to keeping quite secret.
What we're seeing now is only the beginning, and the company which launched its first satellite in January, hoping to make millions selling images from space, says in this realm, the sky is not the limit.
We'll be able to see something on the order of about 19 inches across. From 400 miles up in space, moving along at 4 miles per second.
But if you're worried, the 11 companies in 5 separate countries set to launch private imaging satellites will train their super Kodaks on parts of your house you consider off limits. You can relax, at least for now.
The sort of imagery that we can get today can see buildings, it can see cars, it can't see people. Using this imagery to look in your neighbor's backyard to see whether they're nude sunbathing is something that isn't going to happen anytime soon.
For now, at least, only the pyramids will have to bear all. Bob Faw, NBC News, Washington.
That's Nightly News for this Thursday night. I'm Tom Brokaw.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
Now on the Scene at 6, state legislators go at it again, trying to fix the state's troubled budget.
Tax protesters return to Capitol Hill as lawmakers go through a series of crucial tax votes. I'm Jim Travis. We'll have a live report.
A new medical waste facility in Nashville. Neighbors say not in their backyard. I'm Francine Cuccinello with the story coming up.
Plus, Middle Tennessee saw a few showers today, but will it make a difference? Farmers look ahead to a possible summer drought. Tonight, find out how it could affect your wallet. And country star Tim McGraw releases details about that horse incident. Those stories, and Bill Hall tells us if we can get more rain right now.
You're watching Channel 4 News with Dan Miller and Demetria Galadimos, Bill Hall, and Rudy Kalis.